You ready to roll?
Yep.
Note taker and camera woman. All right. So we're 4-7 part 2, bringing a conclusion to this chapter. So what you may remember from the previous lesson is we were doing a thing called antiderivatives, which was just the opposite of doing derivatives, and that's still the foundation of what we're doing today. I'll tell you how it's different in a minute once we get there. But let's start off just doing an antiderivative. So they're going to give you some things where they're going to say, hey, we already did the derivative, we came out with this, undo us by doing the antiderivative. So instead of having a derivative of y, I've just got a y. What would the 10 become? 10x. How about the x? Half x squared is true. And then on all of our answers, we were throwing on a plus c. So if we need a recap of how we were doing that, numbers, when we do antiderivatives, gain an x, powers of x go up by 1. And then we have to divide in the front by the new power. So we had our visible 1, we divide that by 2, that's a half. And then we always put on a plus c, because if this had a plus 2 or 3 or 4 or a million or any number, when we do the derivative, those numbers vanish. If this were yesterday's homework, we would do that, we'd call it a day, you're good with that so far. Okay. So what they do today is give us some initial information. They're going to give us some starter numbers that let us figure out the c. They're going to say, oh, by the way, the y is -1, plug it in, if the x is 0. And 0 will be your favorite number that they'll give you. Because if they give you zeros to plug in, it just wipes all this out, and the c is revealed to be -1. So our best answer is y equals 10x minus half x squared minus 1. That's our best answer. If I had said that x was 2, well, you'd have to plug this in, make it 20, plug a 2 in here, 2 squared, half of that, that's 2, 20 minus 2 is 18. If you subtract the 18 out of the way to get the c alone, doing opposites and algebra 1 and all that, we'd have gotten a -19 out of it. Sometimes that'll happen, sometimes they'll give you zeros, you're rooting for those zeros. There's a question about that. So this one, we're going to have to go twice. This one, they're telling us that they've done the derivative twice, so we're going to have to go antiderivative twice. So they're giving us the second derivative is this. So we'll first use this symbol to represent the first derivative by just going once back in time. So 2 becomes 2x, 6x becomes 3x squared, plus a c. And then we'll do some algebra at this level. Again, I'm giving you x's as zeros, so this is maybe artificially easy. If x's are zeros, it would wipe this stuff all out. And the dy dx, which is 4, would reveal itself to be the c. And we're halfway up. Now we just have to go again. If we do the antiderivative again, we're back from y. The 2x becomes x squared. The 3x squared becomes x cubed. The 4 becomes plus a c. I personally don't mind the fact that this was c, and now I gave this the name c, because I already solved for that c. It doesn't, that original c has no meaning to me. Chances are these c's are going to be different. The book gets annoyed to give 2 different quantities the same name. So if that annoys you, you could use those subscripts and call that like c number 1 and call that c number 2. If you prefer to do that, that's fine. That's not a pet peeve of mine. I don't care. Again, with an x being 0, we wipe all this stuff out. If I told you x was 5, all that does is make the algebra a little bit harder, because you'd have a lot of numbers to deal with. And now we're skimming for the y. We no longer care about the 4. The 4 was at the derivative level. Now that we're at the y level, we need to use the 1 and this C reveals itself to be plus. And our answer would be that whole thing. Okay, so sometimes they do a different style of like variable work, connecting us back to like life from physics. So a couple chapters ago, we did the derivative of something to get acceleration. What was that? Derivative of velocity got us acceleration. We did the derivative of something else to get us velocity. Displacement. Okay, so they're not going to look like this with the dy stuff, but they might run you through the same style of thing, just with, instead of S becoming V becoming A when we did derivatives, we're just flowing in the opposite order. They also didn't use X's as these variables, they used T's. Okay, so the 9.8 would become 9.8, but with a T plus a C. You get that so far? Then again, I'm being artificially easy, maybe giving you a T of 0. If the T is 0, it wipes that out. The V is revealed to be -3. So we're looking at that at the first level. And then if we go again, the T goes up to be a squared. Divide the old number by 2. The 3 gains a T. We get a new C in the mix. And again, if I said that the T was 2, we'd have some math to do to plug in, square, and combine, and a little bit more opposite doing. But if the T is 0, we wipe that all out. The S is 0, so that actually wipes that out too. That the C would be 0 at that level. And we didn't do that. One thing people have sometimes messed up is on a question like this where you know you'll have to go twice, they'll get too greedy doing too many antiderivatives too fast. You can't do one antiderivative, resolve it C before you try to go again. You can't we're used to sometimes those derivatives just go, 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 go. Antiderivatives today, you've got to go, wait a second, get resolution before you go another level. I think the longest problem in the homework is fourth derivative, so they'll make you jump through, I think, 4 hoops on one of the problems. Just keep going and going and going. 100% of the board, I used 0 as my plug-in number. The homework, there are some zeros, but it's not 100%. And more often, you're going to need to plug numbers in to deal with the algebra of it. I didn't feel like plugging this down in the algebra-ness of it, because I think you'd be fine with the algebra-ness. If you're in calculus, you can manage the algebra-ness of, what if I made you plug in 6? Could be okay. Question about this? So upcoming days, tomorrow will be a homework talking sort of day off of whatever the syllabus says to do to get this page finished from 4-7. We have a review quiz paper that covers, what is it? 4 to 4-7? 4-3 to 4-7. So 4-3 to 4-7, we would do at least one of those in a couple of days. Maybe 2, maybe 3. We'll cross that bridge when we get to it. But we'll review some, take a quiz, review some, take a test. Chapter 5 is pretty far down the road.